Good morning, Coldwell Banker George Realty. We have a special treat today. We have Oscar Sosa from City National Bank, and he has some great information on some down payment assistance. So this will be good for all of us. So Oscar, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Would you mind giving me access to share my screen, if you don't
I
mind?
sure can.
While that's going on, I actually put
There
my
you
phone
go.
number, email address, and the marketing material on the chat as well. So you guys can either see it there or follow along.
So you have
Um,
share screen now. You can do it.
Awesome. Thank
Okay.
you so much. So first and foremost, thank you again, Kathy, for the invite. Everybody along the call for the opportunity to what it is that National to offer today and obviously throughout the next couple of years. We actually rolled out this program on kind of unfortunate situations, to be very, very honest. City National Bank in the past was identified as a accommodation lender. And really what that boils down to is, I mean, it's an affluent bank. It's the bank of the stars, Frank Sinatra, a bunch of, you can go on and on back to just the uber wealthy. And unfortunately, as you escalate in an ever-changing real estate environment where you can't just lend to the rich, right? We have pockets of markets that are being underserved, Hispanic, Black, Asian, and we continue to underserve them. The government came down and specifically said that we needed to do better. So they pretty much hit us with a task to allocate a certain amount of money. In this case, it's about $30 million to provide affordable housing or grant funds to bridge the gap for affordable housing. And obviously, as you all know, I mean, it's really, really expensive to live in Southern California, let alone our demographic. So what this program has entailed is it's a $20,000 grant that can be used for closing costs, down payment, origination fees, rate buy down, you name it. I mean, the beauty about our program as well is we're all familiar with seller concessions. It doesn't offset the seller concessions, so you could still get the 6% max on seller concessions and take advantage of the grant. So, I mean, speaking to the program in itself, it's a 3% down payment program. It's conventional limits. So in LA County, we can go up to $1,149,000 loan amount with 3% down. There's no mortgage insurance. We give the full, on the literature, it'll say we have the ability to grant up to $20,000. The reason the verbiage is that way, so on a purchase, it's the full $20,000. This is also eligible for refinance transactions. So all of your clients that you've closed or have closed in the last year and a half that are hovering 7% interest rates, that have mortgage insurance, that have alternative products, we have the ability to refinance those and put those in this ladder up grant, utilizing the $20,000 for closing costs, rate buy down. So to give you an idea, I'm actually in the process right now of refinancing somebody that bought a house last June at, they bought it at 7% for about $1 million, and they're getting down to 5.7 with this rate or with this program. And it's costing them about $1,500 in fees just because we're using all the $20,000 for that. So let's see what else is needed. It's a 30-year fixed program. The Southern California market, so the 6 counties that comprise Southern California, which would be San Diego, Orange County, LA, Ventura, Riverside, San Bernardino, and parts of New York and New Jersey. And then this is a first lien position. We become the loan. The grant, which scares a lot of realtors away, is really what it is. It's one program. So it's treated as a lender credit for $20,000. So we don't have to go to a specific third-party agency to get an additional approval, no delegate underwriting, everything's done in-house. So, I mean, when we submit a pre-approval that's fully approved with this grant, the reservation of the funds has already been allocated. We have the ability to just maneuver those funds and ensure that we're able to close. This now can be used up to a 4-unit property, so 1 to 4 units. It's the only difference between if you're buying a duplex or a fourplex is instead of the 3% down payment contribution, it turns into 15. So it's still a little bit steeper for those instances, but nonetheless, it can be used. Minimum credit score is 660. The income limits do vary. So to give you an idea, before the programs for down payment assistance or city programs, or other DAPs that we're accustomed to, we usually use 80% of the median. City National Bank has taken it one step further, and we go to 300% of the AMI, which in this case, just to give you an idea, in Los Angeles County, you're looking at 294,600. In Orange County, it's 383,400, and in San Bernardino, it's 283. So to give you an idea, I mean, that should position our clients in a way where income is not an issue, affordability is still stretched. The maximum debt to income ratio on this program is 45%, and they do need to complete a HUD approved homebuyer course if they are purchasing, and if they're refinancing out of their existing loan, then they do not have to. So, I mean, I'll stop right here because that was a lot. Does anybody have any questions?
I would like to ask a question. Do any of this have to be paid back?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. No, so our grant is 100% forgivable.
100%. Okay.
So when you look at the closing statement, it's treated as a lender credit. I mean, there really isn't anywhere on there that's going to show that funds were given. It's not going to show from from City National Bank or anything like that. It's literally just taken off the top.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's see what else. I mean, I have the full deck on, why we do it. Yeah, absolutely.
How long, I know you said you guys had 30 million or something to distribute, but how long do you foresee this program being in effect?
I mean, realistically, it's about 450 transactions a year, roughly, to exhaust the 22 million of whatnot that's left over.
Okay.
I mean, 20,000 per share, it's a ton of loans. I mean, we're not going to run out soon. Now I will say, I mean, barring any catastrophic incident, right? Obviously when COVID hit, I mean, there was a lot of lenders that pulled out lines and things of that nature that we all had to suffer through. So, I mean, I'm not going to say it's not going to be exhausted anytime soon, but at the same time, I will caution and say, I mean, this is the topic of the conversation of today's leadership within the bank and the organization. If another entity were to buy the bank, or if lending changes or veers directions, I'm sure that there would be some changes. But like I tell clients all the time, I say, I mean, it's better to put your name in the mix now and get the reservation allocated to your name specifically than it is to, wait on the sidelines until you're ready. And because we can come back in 6 months and it can be gone. But at the same time, I mean, I will say this because I know like Dream for All and some other programs that are out there that are lotteries. This isn't a lottery, right? So one caveat that I didn't touch is it has to be in a majority census tract. So we use the FFEIC for geocoding. So to give you an idea, I mean, I live in Diamond Bar, right? So if I were to put my address, when we look at the census tract information, all we look for is the minority segment. So as long as that's diverse, so we qualify diverse as anything that's non-white. And I mean, as long as it's 50% or greater, we're okay. So to give you an idea, this whole census code here, this whole census tract here, is 80%. So we'd qualify regardless of dollar amount. Most banks will look at tract level, and this has to be low to moderate.
May I ask one more question? Is it
Sure.
going to affect, because we're on contingencies on any contract, right? So
Absolutely.
normally the fallout is 17 days for the loan and 21 days, I believe, for the appraisal. So by going through this, is that going to cause us to need to extend those contingencies or what's your working time?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So, I mean, we do everything manual, right? So we get full approvals up front from Jump Street, right? So even before, so I mean, when I ask clients or real estate agents to say, send me your clients before, so we get them fully vetted, right? So we're all accustomed to, I mean, common practice in the past, and I'm sure we've gotten better, but common practice in the past was, oh, just send me the DU. Right. And unfortunately, I mean, crap in, crap out kind of thing on the DU. I can manipulate a DU to give me a favorable decision, unfortunately. So we don't use DU at all. Everything goes through an underwrite, fully vetted, hard pulls, tri-merge, validated assets and income. So when that comes out, I mean, you get a full letter to say, this is your eligibility, and you'll get, so to give you an idea, this is one from one of our clients, and it'll say, here's what you're approved for, here's the down payment, and then here are all the conditions, right? So even though we haven't gone into contract, I know what conditions are outstanding. So now, I mean, even behind the scenes, right? So we've underwritten it. Your realtors are now shopping, looking for houses for this client. And I can just give them this list and say, I need everything that's on this list before we go out and fully get a contract, right? Or I could send it back to my underwriter with these conditions and have them eliminate it. So when we do go into contract and it's day one of the contract, all I really need to do is order the appraisal and get the escrow and title information. So, I mean, competitively speaking, we can write offers where your loan contingencies are eliminated.
Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me. Oscar, may I ask you a question? I'm sorry, Kathy. I didn't mean to, Michelle.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Okay. What I wanted to ask you, do you have the breakdowns for the certain areas, what they allow for the maximum payment for that area?
Maximum payment? What do you mean? How do you mean?
I mean, like what you can buy in the area. Like San Bernardino is a lot different from LA County.
Correct.
And you said something about, I think I heard you say something about 200,000 for San Bernardino County, and what was it, 99 or something for LA County?
Yeah, so it's the income limit is 283,000 in San Bernardino, and it's 294,000 in LA County.
Okay, do you have those handouts where agents can have that when they're talking to clients? We can tell them what those areas consist of?
What's
Do
the
you
county as a
follow me?
whole? Are you looking for the county income limits?
Yes.
Yeah, I can get you the county income limits.
Okay, and then
I'll post it on the group chat.
okay, then one more thing I would like to ask you. Is there any classes that they have to attend coming through this program?
There is a first-time home buyer only on purchase. There's a first-time home buyer seminar. It's $99. We recommend eHomes of America, and I can provide that information as well.
Okay, because that would be very helpful to us when we have people coming to us that want to buy. We can show them what you have. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Oscar. This is Sylvia, and I have a question.
Yep.
So the loan is forgivable, but are there any restrictions? Are there any requirements that must be met before that, or to be able to forgive that 20%?
Yeah, absolutely. So what it is, I mean, it's not an additional loan and it's not an additional lien. What it is just a lender credit offset. So we become the first mortgage loan provider servicer. Everything, standard rules apply, right? So 45% DTI, 660 credit score, all of that. We go through the ability to repay, all of that. The only difference is when we put it in the geocoder, the address has to be diverse. So there's three components, right? So as long as you fit the income credit qualifications for the program, which is the DTI, the 660 credit score, and the income limit, right? So if those are satisfied, and then we identify a property in Alhambra, as an example, that meets diversity, then you're automatically eligible for the program. Does that answer your
Thank
question?
you. Yes, it does. Thank you.
Oscar, are those the class that's required? Can they Zoom into those, or do they need to attend in person?
No, so I mean, you have the choice. Depends on your client, and
Okay.
some people like to do it over the phone, and some people like to do it in person. I mean, the one that I recommend is literally like a traffic school online.
Okay.
It's literally like next, and then you take a test, and then you attest that you did it, and then you wait for the clock to expire. I mean, that you can do that multitasking at work, right? I mean,
Oh, okay.
and if it's a joint person, like if it's joint 2, 3, or 4, more people on the application, only one has to attend. And I mean, they're all more than welcome to attend, but I mean, just one's required. So you'll get the certificate at the end of the course, and then they just forward that certificate over to us, and then we sign it off towards part of the underwriting process.
Sounds good, really.
And then another thing, I mean, I know it's popular in a lot of these tracks. I mean, the gift, right? It could be gifted. The 3% could be gifted. It can all be gifted. I mean, I'll give you a very real life scenario. I mean, I have a client right now that purchased an $800,000 property, used our $20,000 grant, and came in with $9,000 to close. So, I mean, that's a lot of house for a little bit of contribution. So, I mean, I know that affordability again is key, but what we've seen and what we're identifying, especially with millennials moving forward, is you'll have high income earners with not a lot of high savings potential. So we're utilizing the grant for the down payment. And I mean, the rates can be from 7.7 to 5.7 roughly, just depending on the structure of the transaction. But I mean, even at 7.7 with zero contribution, to me is I'd rather spend somebody else's money than my own, to be honest.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you one more thing, Oscar.
No, please.
The houses that you were just talking, I didn't understand quite. Certain houses, say for instance, I'm in LA looking for a house, and I qualify for, as you know, most of the stuff. But when I find the house, it have to be on something that you guys have, that this particular house qualified for a person using this grant money. Am I right? You just can't go in and just find a house worth, I'm just saying, $80,000 in the area. It have to be within what you guys are looking at. Something you said, it just didn't seem like you can just pick out a house.
You could pick out any house. So like, I'll give you an idea. That's, I mean, I don't think I'm sharing anymore, but let's just go to share again. I mean, pick a house. I mean, do you guys have any listings right now?
Yeah, but I'm just saying that the way you said is like the houses have to be already qualified through this program in order before the person can actually buy it.
No,
like
not at all.
Okay.
It just has to be identified. So whatever, I mean, we're all going to have an address, right? Eventually. So whatever that address is, we just have to make sure that it's deemed in a diverse census tract.
And what is that? Can you break that down? Maybe that's where I'm getting lost.
Yep. I mean, I think we might be reading too much into it, but let's just go. I mean, Michelle, do you happen to have a listing by any chance?
Oh, just commercial. I'll give you one. 501 Hermosa Vista Street in Monterey Park.
So to give you an idea, so we just typed in the address, and then we drill down to the census demographic. We go to track minority, and I mean, no surprise, right? But in Monterey Park, it's 96% diverse. So as long as this number is greater than 50%, your property qualifies. And I can move this now that we have an address. And let's just say that they're no longer, I mean, back in the day, this used to be part of the Thomas Guide number, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if I just move it and now I try to move the dot to this community, it'll say this community is 96.14. So it's almost the same as that community. I mean, and then I could scale back. I mean, let's just say that client says, you know what, I no longer want to be in Monterey Park. I want to go to Rosemead. And I can move it to Rosemead. And now I'm at same number, 96.14. As you can see, the majority, I mean, everything that almost surrounds your office is going to be diverse.
Okay. Is there a cap on how much the house can be? Like, can it be 1.5 million, 2 million and still qualify for your program? As long as the people are qualified?
So the people are qualified, and just remember the maximum loan amount is what's going to hinder you.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, I mean, there are clients though that will buy a $2 million house and only finance 1.1.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so I wouldn't dismiss it altogether. I mean, especially because clients that are buying 2 million and probably are going to be in the 7% range. I mean, at $1 million, it's a lot of money. So if you can get them the grant at 5.7% as an example, I mean, on $1 million, that's a substantial savings for them on a case-by-case basis. But yeah, I mean, there are communities that are putting that much down. I mean, I tell clients all the time, and almost on the flip side, I mean, we have cash buyers that are doing it, that are paying the whole thing.
Right.
Right. So it's like, I mean, why not finance some and take advantage of some money? I mean, 20 grand at the end of the day is probably not a lot when you're talking $2 million, but it's still somebody else's money. I mean, the concept is the same. So
the max is 1.1 on a loan?
It's the maximum loan amount is $1,149,250 in LA and Orange County.
Thank you. Anybody else with questions for Oscar?
Hey, Oscar. Good morning, this is Kathy.
Hi, good morning, Kathy.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. Do you hear the feedback from my phone?
Yeah, I think somebody else's. I mean, maybe Michelle, if you mute yours, you could probably pick up the others. Okay.
My question is, let's say, I understand this program is only qualified for first-time home buyer. If there are two buyers, one, already has own properties and one is not, and can they be purchased, under this? Do they qualify for this program as long as there's one buyer who is the first-time home buyer?
So you could have like a non-occupying co-applicant. You can have that. But predominantly speaking, I mean, that's usually going to be like a parent assisting a child that maybe doesn't income qualify. And then we're proving that they're, purchasing it for their child. That's a viable option.
Okay. If it is as a joint tenant, friends, joint tenant or tenant in common. And
we can do tenant in common. I mean, that's a lot more from a legal standpoint. Our legal team doesn't like tenants in common. But as far as joint tenants, you can.
Okay. So one can qualify on this program as first-time home buyer, but the other buyer is not, definitely, right?
Correct. Now, just keep in mind too, I mean, the definition of first-time home buyer varies. So, I mean, we look at first-time home buyer as anybody who hasn't purchased a property in the last 2 years. I mean, that's a clear definition of it. but at the same time, you are and have the ability to have a move-up buyer as well. So they own a condo, let's just say they own a condo and all right, give me a second. Sorry about that. Yeah, so they have a move-up buyer. I mean, you just can't own two properties at the same time, right? So one would eventually have to sell before the other one closes. But those are contingencies that can be ironed out within the transaction. But yeah, and same thing. I mean, you can use all the proceeds from that sale to the next property to buy down the rate to get to the loan amount of 1,149,000 if that's the transaction calls for. Our definition is pretty loose in terms of the first-time home buyer. We don't necessarily run it through. And then keep in mind too, another viable option of this is you can stack programs. So I know certain cities offer their own down payment assistance programs and grants and things of that nature. Some of them you have to pay back. Some of them are shared appreciation, things of that nature. We do allow the ability to stack some of those to allow your client to even have maybe less contribution or more affordability. But we would just defer to those underwriting guidelines for those programs. So I know one that I work closely with is like the city of Santa Ana. Theirs is like an 80% annual median income. I mean, where ours is 200. So we always tell clients, if you qualify for those, you'll qualify for ours.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, probably we'll discuss with you in very detail on that.
Great questions. Any other questions?
We have some detailed asks in the box, the chat box, but I'm wondering if they shouldn't just contact you directly. So Oscar has let's see. Okay. One gentleman wants a copy of all the cities in Los Angeles that this qualifies for. I don't know if you have a list like that.
So I don't have the list, and that's Daniel's, and I appreciate the question. I put the link to the FFEIC website, which is that GeoMap, how I navigated through. And what I'll do follow up, Michelle, is I'll send you an email with all it in detail with screenshots of how we navigate through and how do we go through that website so that we can continue to do it. As far as the information, if anybody has anything on a case by case, I mean, my email's on there, my phone number's on there, a quick text message works as well. I mean, if you have properties that are going into escrow or maybe have clients that are making offers into certain properties, I mean, I do this all the time where not only do I give them pricing, I compare pricing at 3%, 5%, 10%, what the differences are there, what the grant would do on a buy down versus not. So anything that you guys need, mainly, I'd be more than happy to help out in any which way and just be a resource for you, your clients, and ultimately just to add, home ownership to bridge the financial gap, the wealth gap. Obviously, that's what we're all about here, and increase diversity. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. Is we want to do what's right to level out the playing field as much as we possibly can. And I know affordability is tough in today's market. So any assistance that any one of us can have. I mean, if this program could bring a client off the fence for you guys, because I mean, let's just be real, a lot of us are waiting for the rates to go down or the pricing to come down or affordability of which way. And I mean, if this $20,000 can get somebody off the fence, I mean, that helps to just go back to your database and just let everybody know. And I mean, I can't speak more than this, so please don't take this. I know it's being recorded, but I mean, we're being told that the grant's going to go from 20 to 50, just don't know when. So I mean, spread that out as well. But it's a lot of money that we're willing to commit to making an impact. And ultimately, we just want to be a resource to make a long-lasting impact and impression on families and just bring it all together. So feel free to use me as a resource. I mean, I've been in it for a very long time. I've seen market trends and changes. I'd love to continue to be an advocate for you, your clients, and anything that I can help. I definitely will continue to do so.
Okay, well, thank you so much. That was invaluable information. And everybody, please look at the chat box, take a picture of his contact. If you didn't do that, you can call me later or email me and I'll send it out as well. So is there any further questions before we conclude? Okay, Oscar, thank you so much. That was so informative. And thank you, Kathy, for introducing Oscar. We
You're
truly
welcome.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you,
And
Kathy. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you,
yeah,
Colwell. I
thank you,
appreciate the
everybody.
opportunity.
Yeah,
Have a great
everybody
night.
have a great weekend. Thank you, Oscar. It was really great.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Likewise, thank you.